Hey there, 159. So this is Professor Michael Stewart. I just wanted to check real quick whether my environment here from home is going to work for me for class. So as you can see, I have this outline here. First thing I'm going to do is check that I have a reasonable browser and the ability to connect to our campus resources, and then I'm going to check my local development environment for Eclipse and Java. So first things first, when we say browser, that's like an internet browser, of course, and we mean by that like on your laptop or desktop machine, and it really should be Firefox. In addition to Firefox, it's fine to have Chromium or Chrome or some kind of related browser, but it's going to be easier for everyone if we can just depend on you to have an updated version of Firefox. So how would you know that? You'll know that if you have, if when you go to get on the web, you're in the Firefox browser. The next thing to do is to make sure that your connection's working fine. I only mention this because right now I think some people might be doing different things in terms of how they're going to connect to the internet. Personally, like in case I end up at some kind of internet cafe or something, I put in neverssl.com because it would let me know whether I can reach outside on the internet or not. So the fact that I'm able to reach neverssl.com is great. So that means that I can at least connect to the internet as a whole. But then if I try to connect to Autolab, you may have a similar experience that I'm having here, where you cannot actually reach anything. So what you can do in that case is to make sure that you have the VPN client installed. So if you're not sure about that, you can search for JMU VPN, and you'll see here some instructions on how to install this. So this is going to install the Pulse Secure client. And so once you have that installed, you'll be able to put in the information that it shows you in the configuration there. It tells you both how to install for Windows or else how to install on a Mac as well. And then it tells you as you continue through the server's URL that you'll need to put in, and it continues to guide you about your EID and etc. Okay, so once you have that connected, I would expect that you would be able to reach Autolab. So I'll just demonstrate how that would look here. So if I go to Autolab now, then indeed I can reach this campus resource because of the VPN. Okay, lastly, Eclipse. Okay, so the first thing to make sure, if it's the case that you may have installed it sometime before our class, it's possible that you have a version that is old and it has some options different than we can easily support. So just go ahead and launch Eclipse. If you don't have it installed, then that's okay. What you can do is you can just you can search the web for Eclipse, and when you go to download it, it's going to say, hey, 2020-03, and you say, yeah, sure, that's newer than 2019-06 that Professor Stewart asked for. So I'll go ahead and download, and this page is a little bit smart. It'll offer you a reasonable package for your machine. There's tons of different versions of Eclipse. I think that this default version is going to be a good choice. You want the one that is just for Java developers rather than any special packaging of it. Now that I have my Eclipse launched, and let me bring it onto the window so that you can see it as well. What I can do is up in the top menu, I can check on a Mac, it's under the Eclipse menu. I can do About Eclipse, and I think it's under the Help menu on Windows or Linux. And so when I do About Eclipse, I get this screen, and it just confirms for me the version in case I don't know exactly which one I have installed. So this version is fine according to the requirements that I've now hidden from you there to be more recent than 2019-06. And then I need to check that I have a reasonable Java installation here. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to go to Window and Preferences on many machines, but on a Mac it's actually under Eclipse and Preferences. And so you may be quite familiar with this screen by now. Under Java here, there's these installed JREs, and that's really what we want to take a look at here. So you can see that I have quite a few going on. The locations of yours are going to be different. This depends on whether you're on a Mac and whether you're doing your Java installs the same way that I am. And then in here you can select which JDK you want to be active. If you see that yours is older than 11, so in this case mine says that I'm defaulting to 10, then you should go ahead and change to the other one. If you don't have a newer one installed right now, then you should search for the JDK, and you can go to download the most recent one. So 14 has very recently come out. That would be a fine thing to download and install. Alternatively, you can download something as early as 11, but hopefully no earlier than that. Once you have it installed, you'll want to make sure that it appears in this window and that it's selected as the default. If you need help adding a new one that you have installed into this window, that's something that I or your TAs would be happy to help you with. Okay, once you're pretty sure that you've got the right version of Eclipse, the right version of Java that Eclipse knows about through this kind of dialogue, you'll want to make sure that you have Checkstyle installed. I have this entry here in my preferences, so I can tell that it's installed. And I know that it's using our configuration because I can see this defaulted check beside the 159 Checkstyle configuration file. So that's pretty great. Just beware, I don't know that if everybody's remembering this very well, each new project that you create in Eclipse actually requires that you turn on Checkstyle for that project again. And so the way to do that is by you right click on whatever project it is and you can go to properties. Because this project is currently closed, I don't have all of my options available. So I can go to properties. Of course, there's Checkstyle here, and you can activate. Unfortunately, it won't turn on like a check mark or anything for you to know if that succeeded. So I like to just do it from the properties window for this project, where I can see that indeed Checkstyle is active for this project, and I can just glance that it is following my global configuration for all my Eclipse projects and using my 159 Checkstyle configuration. Okay, then the last thing that we just want to make sure in Eclipse is that we have our Autoformatter working. Again, Checkstyle is very important to help us find likely problems with our code, but in order for us to not have to hunt down each trivial indentation problem, it's really nice to have the Autoformatter working. So what you can do to just confirm that is go back to that window in Preferences or Eclipse in Preferences on a Mac to find your overall Eclipse menu. And if you search here for it's called Formatter. Formatter has one M. Then you can see under Java that there's formatters here. Okay, my active profile is my 159 formatter, which is really what I would like to see. If you don't have that, you'll want to direct yourself back to our earlier Eclipse lab to make sure that you can install that formatter and have it working nicely for you. If you have all of those things working, you have a browser that we can expect to support the different software that we need to use. You have your connection to the internet generally. You have the VPN so that you can reach Autolab, and you have Eclipse with an up-to-date version of Eclipse itself, an up-to-date JDK, Checkstyle with our configuration, and an Autoformatter to help you to meet those specifications. Then you're going to be in good shape.